Wadle in the center. We are underway. Guys moving pretty quick here around the logo. Guys just hand fighting here, right up top, that Nittany Lion logo. Shot attempt there from Wadle. Lilledahl tried to wrap around, but a good job by Wadle to get out of harm's way.
I mean, that's why it's called Lightning Luke. His speed is just so quick, and it's showing right here as he's already in on a leg.
And on a leg, Wadle tries to roll through, but Lilledahl thought he had control on the edge of the mat. Now he does, and 3 points for the sophomore. He'll take a 3-0 lead as they slide out of bounds and go back to the center.
That's exactly how Luke loves to wrestle his matches early on. Just dictate the pace, you know, just be really quick on his feet, and it's showed right there as he gets the first takedown of this dual meet.
Wadle on bottom here, Lilledahl on top. He tried to roll through, but he'll get back to his feet and earn the escape point to make it a 3-1 match. Lilledahl almost had a leg there, right here on the edge of the mat. Guys now back on their feet here. Down Wadle, tried to go to the body there. Maybe a chance here. Lilledahl takes him down to his back. Lilledahl earning some near fall points, looking for the fall himself. Fall swipes, officials right there. Wadle in harm's way, trying to turn his body back to his chest. Wadle gets off and gets on his chest, but 4 near fall points for Luke Lilledahl, plus the takedown makes it a 10-1 match with 1:35 left to go in the first period.
Yeah, just a nice inside trip from Luke Lilledahl, bringing him straight to his back and keep scoring points for Luke.
10-1 match as Wadle gets back to his feet to make it 10-2. Looking on the edge here, Wadle trying to circle back as Lilledahl pressures him towards out of bounds. Lilledahl shoots, but misses on that one. Wadle now wants to try and get a leg. Did a good job by Lilledahl to move out of the way. He's keeping Wadle at that out of bounds line, maybe in danger of a stall.
And exactly like you just said, official gives the stall warning to Wadle.
There's the first one of the match. It's just a warning for Wadle. Next one will be a point as Lilledahl now here in on the head. Now return him back to the center. 10-2 here with 37 seconds left in this first period. Riding time in favor of Luke Lilledahl, 41 seconds. Lilledahl wrapping around, trying to get the leg. Has a single here. Wadle doing a good job of trying to fend it off. Lilledahl gets the back, earns the 3 to make it 13-2. Short time here in the first period.
Yeah, Luke just had that low single, and all he had to do was just shelf it, bring it up, and get that far ankle, and that's exactly what he did to earn the takedown.
Looks like Lilledahl content with riding this one out. He'll have a full minute of riding time as the first period comes to a close. 13-2 the score after 1. Lightning Luke ahead.
And Wadle defers, so Luke will go on bottom to start the second period.
Try to earn that escape. Another takedown would seal the match with a tech fall. Wadle on top, Lilledahl back to his feet. And he breaks the grip, immediately tries to reach for that leg of Wadle, couldn't connect. Now Wadle in on a shot, Lilledahl working around, trying to get the back. Has control, has the 3, and has the tech fall. Luke Lilledahl, a 17-2 tech fall victory to open the duel, and he puts Penn State up 5-0 to begin this one.
Puts Penn State up 5-0 and puts Rec Hall on their feet. A first match back in Rec Hall for the Nittany Lions, and what a way to start for Penn State up 5-0.
Look to make an impact in his first duel in Rec Hall. Locked up here in the center of the mat. Ziegler backs off. And fighting here early on between the two. As the "We Are" chant begins to emanate from the student section mat side. Ziegler tried to slide by there. Blaze.
Yeah, both guys just trying to get to their offense, trying to get to their ties right in the center. See who gets the first takedown of this match.
Locked up here, no real shots from either guy just yet. Now Blaze tried to work around as the head there of Ziegler. A lot of spinning, and now Blaze works around, takes the back for the 3.
Yeah, just circling around Ziegler and just keep going and going until he gets that takedown, and Marcus Blaze wins that battle.
Ziegler gets the escape point, both guys back to neutral. 3-1 the score here, minute 45 left in this first. Blaze, the Perrysburg, Ohio native, picked up a fall on Friday, defeating Kyle Waterman of Drexel. Ziegler shot there, couldn't gain any traction on Blaze. Match has stayed largely around that Nittany Lion logo. They haven't really strayed very far from it. Hand fighting there. Ziegler went low, but Blaze did a good job getting out of the way.
Yeah, and a big reason why Marcus Blaze was one of the top recruits in the class of 2025 is just because of his patience. And as much as his offense is good, his defense is even better.
Still locked up here again. Blaze trying to gain wrist control here on the feet. Ziegler went down low, trying to pick the leg, Blaze. Now Blaze trying to get that single, he has it. Looking to finish.
It's a nice whizzer from Ziegler, but if Blaze can bring it up and shelf it.
Fighting away, Blaze gets the other leg and gains 3 more. 6-1 now here as this first period will come to a close with Blaze on top. 15 seconds of riding time for the freshman as he'll go on bottom to begin this second period.
And Marcus Blaze, he knows how to wrestle these matches. I mean, even before he was a college wrestler, he wrestled so many top college guys. I mean, he beat Dayton Fix a while back. He had a tough match against Vito Arruja, and then even beating Matt Ramos a couple years ago.
Matt Ramos, a guy who wrestled Luke Lilledahl multiple times last season, including in the Big Ten Championship and in the NCAA tournament. As you already mentioned, a lot of accolades on Blaze's resume before he even entered college. 7-1 now the score. Blaze in the escape to begin the second period. Ziegler, as we already mentioned, wrestling in place this season of Ryan Crookham, one of the best 133-pound wrestlers in the country. Suffered a season-ending injury last year, was perennial All-American contender. Lehigh hoping to get him back as soon as possible.
Yeah, looking like he'll be back around January and Standish around mid-December. But once Lehigh gets their whole lineup back and all away from injury, should be a great team there for Lehigh.
Fast move there from Blaze to take the back and earn 3 more points. Ziegler just as fast with the escape to make it 10-2. 43 seconds left to go here in the second period of this match. Blaze in again on another single. Ziegler trying to get behind. Two guys locked up. Position. Blaze comes out of it and gets 3 more. Marcus Blaze winning the scramble there to make it 13-2 with 16 seconds left.
Yeah, Blaze on that nice high crotch. And then a great scramble, keeping that chest wrap with Ziegler, but able to break it with Blaze and get the takedown.
Time ticking down, 5, for 3, 2, 1. Ziegler unable to get back to his feet before the buzzer sounded. Lilledahl now 32 seconds of riding time. Sorry, Marcus Blaze, 32 seconds of riding time. Here in the second match of this duel, Penn State leading 5-0 after the Lilledahl tech fall in the first match.
Yeah, and Blaze is going to option him here. He's just going to put the triangle on his back and let him up.
As Massimo said, he'll just let Ziegler go. 13-3 now the score. Blaze chasing that tech fall. He snaps down, looks to work around. Ziegler tried to scramble and roll, but he can't. 3 more. Blaze cuts him loose. 16-4 now.
All he needs is one takedown, and you got back-to-back tech falls for the Nittany Lions.
The ideal start for Penn State. Blaze in again, another takedown attempt. Has both legs and has the takedown. 19-4, back-to-back tech falls for Penn State, and Marcus Blaze gets it done in his rec hall debut. Bailey's veteran, senior year of college. Nasdeo young, but he's been the go-to spot starter at the lower weights for Penn State when they've had injuries.
Yes, he has. He wrestled last year in the first duel of the season against Drexel, where he did lose to Jordan Soriano, lost to him as well last week when they traveled to Philadelphia. We'll see if he has a different result here in Rec Hall today.
Nasdeo tried to snap down Bailey there. Couldn't get it going. Battle with the hands here, right off the edge of that Nittany Lion logo. Nasdeo went 1-2 at the Black Knight Invitational. Was one of the many Penn State wrestlers as Bailey grabs a leg there, trying to trip Nasdeo. Manages to stay up for now. A compromising position for Cael Nasdeo as Bailey gets him down to a knee.
Nasdeo had the leg for a second, just trying to whizzer hard and try and get out of this position without Bailey scoring any points.
Bailey, a nice job to roll through, still no full control. Now he gains the takedown. And the first takedown for Lehigh goes by way of Carter Bailey here at 141.
Yeah, it's a really nice takedown from Bailey to start off this match. The first takedown for the Lehigh Mountain Hawks so far in this duel.
Bailey still in control here, accumulating riding time alongside Nasdeo, and we'll get a stalemate call.
Yeah, an easy stalemate call for the official. Just Nasdeo had his leg stuck in between Bailey's and didn't look like he was going to be able to get out of the position, so good call from the referee.
Bailey back on top here, a chance for Nasdeo to get back to his feet. Nasdeo on his feet, but not fully up yet. Bailey just putting his weight on, trying to force him back down to the mat. Bailey does just that. Now face first in the mat is Nasdeo as Bailey just working and earning that riding time off the back here of Cael Nasdeo with a cross face there.
Yeah, just forward pressure from Bailey, keeping him flat on the mat, trying to get that riding time as much as he possibly can in this first period.
Up over a minute of riding time for Carter Bailey already, with 25 seconds left here in this first period. Nasdeo trying to work back to his feet, but Bailey really just keeping his weight off the back. As time winds down, a really good first period for Carter Bailey. He's on top after one here in Rec Hall.
Yeah, he's on top in riding time, over a minute and 30 seconds for Bailey. A great first period for him. Nasdeo definitely looking to bounce back in the second and the third, down 3-0.
They'll start neutral here in the second. Let's take a look back at the takedown for Carter Bailey.
Yeah, he's just in that wizard position, but the nice trip from Bailey and getting around to both ankles and getting that takedown for Lehigh.
Now back here, still battling in their collar tie. Bailey shoots and drives Nasdeo out of bounds. Nasdeo might have had something hit him in the eye, talking to our official.
Yeah, the Lehigh bench wanted a stall call. Nasdeo just going away from the mat, but no call from the official.
Really did a good job. Now Nasdeo has the leg of Carter Bailey, looking to score here. Good job by Bailey to put himself in a good defensive position here.
Nasdeo just has to get that leg and keep driving forward and get to his feet and just finish to get a takedown and tie this match up.
Maybe nearing a stalemate here, as not much both guys could do unless Nasdeo can find this position, but they will call stalemate and return back to the feet. Now battling for wrist control here on the feet. Nasdeo 1-3 on the season, 5-5 last year, career record of 6-8. Name in homage to, ironically, his head coach, Cael Sanderson.
Yep.
Now Nasdeo here has the leg, trying to drive through and earn the points.
Every time he gets to that leg, Bailey just gets to that chest wrap.
Nittany Lion fans want the three. The Lehigh bench urging Bailey to keep fighting.
Less than 10 seconds to go.
Nasdeo trying to finish, but Bailey works around, and he'll avoid the takedown here. Holds on to the lead, 3-0 at the end of the second.
That's just great takedown defense from Bailey, limiting Nasdeo's offense. Still no points in this bout for Cael. He'll have to come out on top in this third period heavily if he wants to win this one.
Bailey will start on bottom, so he'll be able to earn the extra point off the escape, as Nasdeo's going to need more than what the ground could provide him. Trailing by 4. Nasdeo again on the single, trying to work around. Bailey again. Great defense. Nasdeo a good chance here.
Nasdeo's got to keep the leg, but just pushing on the head is Bailey.
And an acrobatic maneuver from Carter Bailey to get out of bounds. The Lehigh bench didn't like some of the extracurriculars there.
Plus the stall call on Bailey for fleeing the mat.
And there will be a stall point awarded to Cael Nasdeo.
All he needs a takedown, but still that riding time in favor for Bailey.
Would need to cut into a significant chunk of that riding time. He would need a takedown fairly quickly in order for this match to not go in the favor of the Mountain Hawk. Lehigh bench wants a stall call on Nasdeo, as we'll get a stalemate on the feet. .48 seconds left. Nasdeo looking for the takedown. No control yet. But a nice roll through from Nasdeo.
Needs to be awarded if that riding time.
But Bailey, a phenomenal job to roll through of his own.
Riding time locked in for Bailey, so even if he gets this takedown, it will be a 5-4 win for Bailey.
A great job by Carter Bailey defensively in this match, as they roll through once more on the outside and slide out of bounds. Seemed as if everything Cael Nasdeo threw at Carter Bailey, he found a way to defend it and avoid the takedown. As Nasdeo, a few last attempts here, but it will be in vain as Carter Bailey, a 4-1 decision victory, puts the Mountain Hawks on the board at 141. As we get underway. Guys quick on the attack to begin this bout. That's what you'll typically see from PJ Duke. A lot of offense.
A lot indeed. And even though these guys might not be 125, 133 pounders, and their speed, you might not think their speed is up to par with those guys, they're just as quick, especially PJ and Rozinski, both just quick on their feet and able to get offense going, as we saw early in this match.
PJ Duke taking the starting spot this season over NCAA All-American Tyler Kasak. Duke in on an attack here. Rozinski trying to stay on his feet to avoid the takedown. And though Duke brought him down to the mat, Rozinski slipped out and no points awarded.
Yeah, Duke had that trip, but a nice hip heist from Logan Rozinski, able to get out of it, no points there.
Wrist lock here for Duke and Rozinski. Rozinski with a decision win in the Mountain Hawks duel against Pitt on Friday. Duke has the arm, wanted to work around for 3. Rozinski gets out of it. Rozinski tried to get his shot of his own in, and Duke fought back.
See if referee just wants some action, might call a stalemate, but back to their feet.
There's been a lot of action for no takedowns and no points awarded just yet as they step out of bounds.
No stall warning on Rozinski, but referee just showing just action, telling him that he needs to wrestle a little bit more on that edge.
Rozinski did not circle back in. Duke pushed him out. Rozinski went low, a reshot from Duke. Unsuccessful. Duke making his rec hall debut. Did not wrestle in the Nittany Lions season opener against Oklahoma. That honor went to Joe Seeley. So making his first ever appearance in a Penn State singlet in Happy Valley. So we'll get a stall warning there called against Logan Rozinski.
Yeah, Rozinski just backing up, just going more and more toward the edge, and PJ just pushing him closer and closer. Easy call.
Rozinski did circle back in there, pushed Duke out. The official wants to see more action out of PJ Duke this time. Back to the center, a 0-0 match. Again, a lot of attempts, not much success for either wrestler. Here as Duke tries to work around, has the leg, and a single slams Rozinski to the mat. No control just yet. Rozinski did a great job of scrambling through.
Really good scramble and straight to the whizzer. No points. Lehigh coaches wanted a Granby there, but just able to get out of bounds, and still no points in this highly offensive match.
Duke wanted a quick shot there off the whistle. Rozinski did a good job defending it. Less than 10 seconds left in this first period. If the other two periods are any indication of what the first would be, you're in for a treat. 0-0 after 1 between PJ Duke and Logan Rozinski.
Rozinski's gonna go on bottom to start the second. We'll see if they get back to their feet, and we see the offense that we saw in that first period show in this second.
Logan Rozinski, the sophomore from Lehigh, a high school teammate of Shane Van Ness. Both guys attended Blair Academy. As Rozinski gets back to his feet and earns the escape point. Shot there, Duke staved it off. Now Duke trying to work to the leg.
He's behind, but still in that wizard position.
Now he gets the back and the three. PJ Duke with a takedown to take a 3-1 lead. Rozinski escapes to make it 3-2 and steps out for the stall to make it 4-2.
Yeah, just in that wizard position, but just shucking him by and getting behind for a takedown. The first takedown, which surprisingly comes in this second period. It's not in that first period.
1:17 left to go in the second. Duke and Rozinski now engaged right on the center of the mat.
And I wouldn't be surprised if these Penn State fans start getting on Rozinski as he keeps backing up and backing up. You know these Penn State fans will call stalling for pretty much anything.
It's tough when you have a crowd of a few thousand officials instead of just the two on the mat for opposing teams in Rec Hall, as there's another stall call against Rozinski. The Lehigh coaching staff not thrilled about that one. That'll make it 5-2.
Yeah, former Nittany Lion Vincenzo Joseph not happy with that one.
He's been the beneficiary of the crowd and sometimes the officials at Rec Hall. This time on the opposite end. Rozinski went low. Duke trying to work around again. Trip and three more for PJ Duke. 8-2 now with 25 seconds left in this second period.
It's just beautiful from PJ Duke how he's able to keep his hips so low to the mat and then just get that trip and get behind. Another takedown for him.
PJ Duke can accumulate over 30 seconds of riding time here as the second period will come to a close. Rozinski trying to fight back to his feet before the period ends as they'll slide out of bounds and return to the center.
PJ will only have to keep him down for about a second before we go to the third period.
Duke taking a second before he gets into position. Whistle blows, and the buzzer sounds. 8-2 after 2 periods. PJ Duke ahead of Logan Rozinski.
And right as that buzzer sounded, it's like the ref already knew that PJ wanted to go neutral.
Rozinski in on a shot. Duke fighting it off again. A couple reshots there from Rozinski. Now Duke working back around to try and take the back again, and he has it. 3 more points for PJ Duke. 11-2 now with 1:42 left to go.
And it looked like he was going to do exactly what he did throughout all of high school, just take down and let Rozinski back up, but preferring to just keep him down there, and Rozinski will go right back on bottom. PJ leading 11-2.
Not many could have predicted that PJ Duke would have been the starter for Penn State this season, especially with Tyler Kasak and Joe Seeley. Other options available for the Nittany Lions. There's a backload at that weight class for Penn State, but certainly a good problem for Cael Sanderson and company to have. Rozinski earns the escape point to make it 11-3. Duke, another beautiful attack to earn 3 more. 14-3. And potentially dangerous as Rozinski's down on the mat in some pain.
Yeah, that shoulder did not look good from the angle that I had it. We'll see how the coaching staff just looks at Rozinski for now as PJ leads 14-3.
Give some words of encouragement, and that'll do it. PJ Duke, a win by injury default. Not how you wanted to see a match of this caliber end.
Yeah, some great sportsmanship from Duke, just making sure that Rozinski was okay.
For that, as we get ready for 165, Mitchell Mesenbrink and Max Brignola figure. Good matchup here, 1 versus 7. Brignola redshirted last year, did not wrestle. His lone loss this season came in the National Duels Tournament. Mesenbrink, the reigning national champion at 165. He's only lost 1 time in his collegiate career, that being to David Carr in the 2023 NCAA Championship. Nola wanted to work around on an attack there. Mesenbrink got out of the way. Mesenbrink a low shot and Brignola dodges.
Yeah, Brignola just wanted that slide by, but Mitchell Mesenbrink able to get away from it.
Mesenbrink now has the leg. Brignola trying to shelf it. Now wrapped up in Mesenbrink. Mesenbrink works out of it, tries to get the back, and he does. 3 points for Mitchell Mesenbrink. He takes the 3-0 lead as Brignola gets back to his feet and earns the escape.
Yeah, and as much as, you know, he's so offensively minded in Mesenbrink, he's just so composed, able to stay calm in those positions, and showed right there as he gets the first takedown of this match.
Last season was one to remember for Mitchell Mesenbrink. Finished the year 27-0, 18 tech falls, bonus percentage of 88%. One of the best in the country at earning bonus points for his team in dual meets.
Yeah, only 3 decisions last season, 2 of them coming against Mikey Caliendo, the number 2 in the country for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Another good attack there from Mesenbrink. Brignola looking to avoid the trip here on the feet. Mesenbrink gets him down, no control. Brignola working towards the boundary.
Yeah, Max is going to try and push off the head, but Mitch is going to try and bring him back in.
Mesenbrink teetering on the edge, trying to pull Brignola back in, and now they'll step out of bounds. A stall warning there against Brignola.
Yeah, just Mitch keep pressuring him out of bounds, and not much the official can do there with that call.
Mesenbrink now in another single, and he'll earn the 3. 6-1 now in favor of the Nittany Lion. Brignola gets out and earns 1. 6-2 the score. Another shot there. Brignola tried to re-attack. No success. He's now under 10 seconds. This one will stay on the feet to end the first. 6-2 in favor of Mitchell Mesenbrink after 1. And Mesenbrink will start on the bottom to begin the second.
He'll go for a quick escape and then get right back to his takedown offense on the feet.
Take a look there at the takedown for Mitchell Mesenbrink, the second of the first period. He starts on bottom here to begin the second period. Mesenbrink back to his feet, breaks the grip, and earns the escape point. 7-2 now. Collar tie here on that Nittany Lion logo. Mesenbrink, another single, flips Brignola back over, works around, and earns 3 more.
And you see those type of scrambles so much in college wrestling. Just gets to that double, goes around the back, and just able to circle, and it's just too easy for Mitchell Mesenbrink.
10-2 now, as he'll cut Brignola loose. Brignola now in on the leg of Mesenbrink.
Head under! Head under!
Brignola trying to hold on to that leg as Mesenbrink to free himself. Work around, will get a potentially dangerous call. As Brignola had Mesenbrink's leg, the Lehigh coaching staff not big fans of that call. Mesenbrink, another shot and another takedown for the Nittany Lion.
Yeah, right off the whistle.
Mesenbrink nearly thought about locking up a cradle there, had the leg of Brignola. He's back to his feet. Mesenbrink deposits him right back down to the mat.
Yeah, Mitch is either going to let him back up or try and get his riding time over a minute.
45 seconds right now. Less than 30 seconds to go here in the second period. Mesenbrink has that right arm of Brignola.
You just see the referee just inching forward, possible another potentially dangerous call, but nothing there.
12 seconds left, second period. Mesenbrink just burying the head, looking for any opportunity as the second period comes to a close. 13-3, Mitchell Mesenbrink ahead. And Brignola will start on bottom, looking to earn the escape point here in the third.
We'll see if Mitch decides to option him or let him up, or elect to ride him out for the start of the third period, and he'll just go right to neutral and they'll be back to their feet.
So Brignola earns the free escape point there, as you see another takedown from Mitchell Mesenbrink. 13-4. Mesenbrink in bonus point range. Might want just more than a major decision.
And another stall call, so that'll be a point for Mitch.
14-4 now after the stall. Mesenbrink tried to get the leg. Now Brignola looking to work around the back. And he'll earn the three. Max Brignola, a good job of working around and earning the takedown of Mitchell Mesenbrink.
Do that again, Max. Cut him.
Lehigh staff wants Brignola to cut Mesenbrink, as he does. 15-7 now.
Brignola's really got to get to his offense if he wants to make this a close match.
Less than a minute to go now for Brignola. Would be a major decision victory for Mitchell Mesenbrink if this score holds. Mesenbrink tries to attack the leg, denied by Brignola. Mesenbrink trying to push him towards the boundary, and Brignola circles back in to avoid the stall.
Yeah, smart circle. If he stayed on the edge there, wouldn't be surprised if the official called another stall.
Mesenbrink feinting. Some shots, Brignola to a knee. Now in on a leg is Mitch. Brignola trying to save it off. Mesenbrink rises him up, dumps him down, no control yet for Mitchell Mesenbrink. As the seconds tick down, no control there, called by the official. And it'll be a major decision victory for Penn State at 165. Mitchell Mesenbrink gets it done, 15-7 over Max Brignola to extend the Penn State lead. He'll get a shot right here. His first match in front of the Rec Hall crowd this year. Haines with 3 tech falls and a fall to his name already this season. Sadriddinov wanted an attack. Now Haines has the leg. Doesn't have full control of Sadriddinov, as now he works to earn the other leg and gain the takedown. 3-0 as he carries Sadriddinov out of bounds.
Great start for Haines, getting to his offense early, and it's a takedown early for Haines. He takes the 3-0 lead.
Levi Haines had the shocker of the summer when he went all the way to Senior World Final, falling there, but a great run in freestyle for Levi Haines this season.
And Levi wasn't really known for freestyle most throughout his career, but a great showing for him going over to that final, just falling short, getting a silver medal, but a medal's a medal for Levi Haines.
Haines in on the leg again. Looking to push through and earn 3 more, and he will do just that. Second takedown for Levi Haines, 6-1 in favor of Penn State's 174-pounder. Spent a little more time on the ground here in his first period. Haines, 27 seconds of riding time.
You can see Levi just trying to push the leg up and try and get him on his back, go for near fall, but
still has that leg, returns him back to the mat. Some force now.
You can see the ref just inching forward, looking for maybe another potentially dangerous call.
He has that leg. Now looking to turn Sadriddinov for some near fall points. Sadriddinov holding on. Now he'll be turned. Some swipes from the official. Checking the shoulder of Sadriddinov. Not in any danger of a fall. Now might be a little bit more dangerous for Sadriddinov.
Yeah, he's trying to pinch that leg more and more. The bow and arrow. Penn State known for it so well, trying to just get him.
And there's the fall. Levi Haines, the bow and arrow. And he pins Bekhruz Sadriddinov at 174 to put 5 more on the board, or 6 more on the board for Penn State. Levi Haines gets it done once again in front of the Rec Hall crowd.
So we'll see how he fares off against Rogers today.
Welsh entered the portal after redshirting last season for the Buckeyes. Connected to a lot of teams, including former Penn State wrestler and now head coach of the Oklahoma State wrestling team, David Taylor, for committing to Penn State and Cael Sanderson.
Yeah, and Rocco knows these Penn State fans well. In his freshman year, made it all the way to the NCAA final where he went up against Carter Starachi, who was basically on one leg, and Carter came out on top. But now filling in those shoes is Rocco Welsh after graduating last year with Starachi, becoming the only 5-time national champion in NCAA history.
Yeah, Welsh very familiar with Penn State. Looking to be a part of this Penn State team that's won 4 straight national championships, looking for their 5th this season. It's both guys still engaged here in the center of the mat. This Lehigh squad's been one of the best in the country as well. The EIWA, they're usually at the top year after year. A solid squad. Once they get healthy, they're going to be a tough out for any team in a dual meet later on this season.
Absolutely. Once they get their top guys back, like we mentioned earlier, in Stanich and Crookham, they've gotten Taylor back. We'll see him in a couple matches. But once they get those guys back and all healthy, Lehigh's going to be a big problem for a lot of these big teams later in the year.
Still no action here in the first period. 0-0 with 1:10 left to go. Team score 30-3 after the Levi Haines pin and the Mesenbrink major decision. Rocco Welsh won the 184 crown at the Black Knight Invitational.
You could hear the Lehigh coaching staff, the headgear of Rogers just broken in the back, so he'll have to get a new one. We'll see if they can fix it up really quickly. Medical forfeit. Logan Rozinski just walked in front of us, and he's kind of got his arm kind of in his shirt a little bit, so trying to keep it, you know, as if it was in a cast. So hoping that he's going to be okay.
Welsh in on a leg. A good job by Rogers to defend it. Michigan transfer, a tough loss in national duels to Silas Allred, but wrestled him tough 4-2 decision.
You can hear the Lehigh coaches saying hips, just wants Rogers to keep his hips as heavy as he possibly can, and it worked out for him. No points scored there.
Stalemate call. They'll return back to the feet. 11 seconds left in this first period. Time will expire, and no points on the scoreboard for either wrestler after one. As Rocco Welsh will start on bottom, looking to earn the escape point and take the lead.
If he does get the escape, it'd be the first points of this match, scoreless, obviously, in that first period.
Rogers looking to ride him out as the Lehigh coaching staff encourages him to do so. Welsh back to his feet, looking to break the grip. Circling around, and he does. 1-0 lead for Rocco Welsh after the escape. Still locked up in that collar tie. Not a lot of offensive shots, as there's one right on cue from Rocco Welsh.
Currently only has the one ankle, but might want to look to get to that far ankle and around and just drive forward, penetrate, and get a takedown, which would be the first takedown of this match.
We'll get another stalemate call, as neither guy advancing anywhere from that position.
So far, scrambling has looked very solid from Rogers and Welsh to start this match.
Almost ironic that two transfers from Ohio State and Michigan meet in different uniforms in the state of Pennsylvania, especially with Penn State, a school that traditionally always wrestled Michigan and Ohio State tough.
Yeah, and both of these squads not really known for venturing into the portal a lot. Really only guys that have been in the starting lineup. It's really just Welsh and Cael coming from Minnesota a couple years ago, and Mitchell Mesenbrink redshirting his first year and coming from Cal Baptist. Lehigh not really known for the portal as well.
Rogers, the Coeur d'Alene, Idaho native. Wrestling a tough match here with Rocco Welsh. 17 seconds left in this second period.
If no takedowns are scored in this period, looking likely that this match could come down to really just one takedown in the third period.
5 seconds left as they battle for wrist control and end the second period. Rocco Welsh on top, 1-0. Ryland Rogers will start on bottom, looking to knot this one up.
Go, Ryland, go.
Welsh into the starting position. Rogers tried a quick escape. Welsh still has control here on the feet, and now Rogers earned the point. Back to neutral in a 1-1 match.
Even though Penn State's already won the duel, these fans will be looking to hopefully have another win here from Rocco Welsh, but definitely going to be some nail-biting in Rec Hall from these Penn State fans.
Riding time will be a non-factor. It's a 1-1 score line still holding. Rogers in on a shot, has the leg of Rocco Welsh. Welsh trying to wrap back around and get the leg of Rogers.
Both guys are really in similar positions. Both have that ankle. Potentially dangerous. It's either going to be potentially dangerous or just a stalemate, as both guys were just in the same position.
That was the first true shot that Rogers took in this match. Nearly had success.
This is actually what I was talking about. Rec Hall getting into it with less than a minute in this third period. Both tied 1-1.
Both benches into this one as well.
You've done it before.
Welsh now in on a single. Drives him. Rolls through. Rocco Welsh looking for the three.
No control yet, but it's close.
36 seconds left, and they award the three. Rocco Welsh a late takedown to give himself the lead. Or 1, Rogers escapes.
Now Rocco Welsh is just going to back up, try not to give up a takedown.
13 seconds left
We need a takedown.
as Welsh circles back in to avoid the stall. Rogers needs a takedown in a 4-2 match.
That's
Late
gonna do it.
attempt at the buzzer, but it won't be enough. And Rocco Welsh survives the upset bid from Ryland Rogers. He wins it by 4-2 decision at 184 and picks up the victory in his first match in Rec Hall.
Yeah, what a match down the stretch. Really came down to that last takedown from Rocco Welsh, and at the end of the match, just trying to scramble, get away.
For wrist control here, right off the edge of that logo. Mirasola and his brother committed to Penn State. Both bided their time until they found their way in the starting lineup, and Cole the starting heavyweight. Connor getting a lot of opportunities early on in this season, and certainly will be next up in the future for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, and Remy did not wrestle any official bouts last year, so getting some action early on in this year, we'll see how he continues. If he continues to wrestle, we'll see if, you know, they have a little tandem with JT Davis there as well for the Lehigh Mountain Hawks.
33-3, the team score here. The duel sealed up for Penn State. Mirasola now engaged with Brancato-Roed here, center of the mat. Much offensively from either wrestler. Mirasola feint. No shot comes of it. Still a packed crowd here in Rec Hall. Not many have left their seats. Still watching the end of this dual meet.
Yeah, even though, like you said, even though Penn State's already won the duel, these fans want to stay in Rec Hall as long as they can, because after this, it'll be a long time we have to wait, almost a month until they first against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
Pennsylvania, one of the best wrestling states in the country, and teams like Lehigh, Penn State, Pitt, Drexel shows.
And even they're known for so many other schools as well that aren't even really Division I in other sports, only wrestling. I mean, you guys, schools like Lock Haven and Edinburgh who just have these other wrestlers that you wouldn't expect, but they just come out on top, and they sometimes even place at the NCAA tournament.
Mirasola now in on a shot here late in the first period. Brancato-Roed instead looking to work out and try and earn 3 himself. Both guys very similar spots. Brancato-Roed nearly could get around, but not in time as the period ends.
Great scramble to end that first period. We'll see if that scramble dictates the rest of the match and how it's going to go in the second and third period.
Mirasola will start on bottom. Brancato-Roed on top. Mirasola trying to work back to his feet. He does. Now trying to break the grip of Brancato-Roed. Brancato-Roed went low as Mirasola does break the grip and earn the escape point to make it 1-0. Collar tie now. Mirasola faked the collar tie. Went low on the single. Brancato-Roed trying to fight it off. And he does. Mirasola still pushing, however.
The Lehigh corner just saying hips, hips, try and keep his hips low to the mat, but not enough as Mirasola gets the takedown.
4-0 the score now after the first takedown of this bout for Connor Mirasola. Mirasola starting to accumulate some riding time. This is less than a minute to go here in this second period. Mirasola cuts him loose, making a 4-1 match. Now they'll engage here, right in the center.
Both guys just trying to get to their ties right in the center, get to their offense. Still only a 3-point match, so if Brancato-Roed can just get a takedown, it'd be a tie match, 4-4.
Mirasola undefeated in his collegiate career. Should say in an official capacity, he did lose to Josh Barr last season in the Black Knight Invitational, but for most records purposes, losses to your teammates in those types of events do not count.
Exactly, and that's exactly what we saw last week with 125, where Luke Lilledahl lost to his teammate and high school teammate at Wyoming Seminary, Nathan Desmond. But as much as, you know, that Nate Desmond would want that win to count, does not count towards his and won't count towards Luke Lilledahl. He still stays undefeated.
4-1 the score. At the end of the second period, Brancato-Roed has the decision. He chooses to start on bottom, looking to earn that escape point. Mirasola wanted bow and arrow there. Couldn't get a grasp of the leg by Brancato-Roed. Mirasola still working off the back of Brancato-Roed.
Mirasola just trying to tire out Brancato-Roed, just pressure in and bring him right back down to the mat as riding time eclipsing a minute in just a couple seconds.
57 seconds, it'll be a minute right now as Mirasola looks to lock up that riding time. As Brancato-Roed gets back to his feet, earns the escape point, a 4-2 match. Now they'll engage. Brancato-Roed tried to pick the ankle of Mirasola. Mirasola responds with one of his own. Neither connect. 47 seconds left in this bout at 197.
Penn State student section, the Reckoning, cheering Mirasola's name.
Connor will be followed by his brother Cole at 285. Brancato-Roed short time now.
10 seconds away from riding time being locked for Mirasola.
Brancato-Roed. Riding time secured for Mirasola. Makes it a 5-2 match. Brancato-Roed tried the shot. Mirasola works around, earns the three to make the final score 8-3 in favor of Connor Mirasola. The 197-pounder gets the win and puts Penn State up 36-33 before we head to the final match at heavyweight.
Not what we've seen from Mirasola in terms of his high-scoring matches, but a win's a win for him, and it keeps Penn State winning streak going in this duel. And his brother Cole is going to want to keep that streak going against Nathan Taylor.
With that being said, we'll take a short break before the final bout of this duel. We'll be right back here on Big Ten Plus. Include his last time wrestling in Cael with a victory over Mirasola.
I mean, if you just look at the comparison early on between these two guys, Taylor much bigger than Mirasola, but Mirasola's really just used his speed early in the season to kind of take down these bigger heavyweights.
Penn State hasn't had necessarily a traditional heavyweight in some time. Last season, Greg Kirkfleet wasn't the biggest guy at 285, but he managed a national champion in 2024. Not much action to begin here. 40 seconds eclipsed in this bout. Mirasola picked up a major decision win on Friday in the duel over Drexel, and also took the 285-pound Black Knight Championship. A lot of hand fighting here early on. This is one of the matches that lot of people have their eyes on. Could determine how the rest of the heavyweight class will shape up later on in the season.
And for Cael Mirasola, it wasn't really the guaranteed starter before the season. It was really between him and Lucas Cochran, but Cael Mirasola winning the wrestle-off and winning at the Black Knight Invitational, securing him that starting spot, and he starts today against Nathan Taylor.
One thing to account for with Nathan Taylor, he missed almost all of last season with an injury. Hasn't maybe had as much mat time as your traditional wrestler would have at this point in the season. Solo almost had the leg there. As now we hit a minute to go in this first period, no score here in Happy Valley. And fighting Mirasola, faint low. Not a lot of level changes from either wrestler so far.
Both guys staying on their feet in their collar ties right now, not really going down to the mat. It's really been the tall heavyweights staying up, standing tall.
25 seconds left to go, no score in this first period. Nathan Taylor, Mirasola, great match here through one period. It'll end with the score knotted up at 0-0. We'll head to the second. Mirasola with the decision. He'll choose to start on bottom.
Mirasola's gonna have to be quick off the whistle, because if you look, I've talked about it, you look at the size comparison, if Nathan Taylor can just get him down, it's gonna be hard for Mirasola to get up, but quick off the whistle, gets the wrist control.
And gets out to earn the escape. 1-0 now the score in favor of Cael Mirasola. Level change there, couldn't get the leg of Taylor. That is something to note. Mirasola would have a tough time keeping Taylor down on the ground due to the size disadvantage for the redshirt freshman Nittany Lion. Collar tie here in the center. Mirasola try and get Taylor a shot there. Mirasola gets back. 1:07 left in this second period.
Neither wrestler has been in on a leg yet so far. Some attempts from Mirasola, one attempt from Taylor, but nothing yet.
Taylor does have fairly large legs. We're seeing it on the screen. He's a big guy and a lot to target for Mirasola, but it's hard for him to necessarily get there. That's been the challenge for Cael Mirasola so far in this match. Now he has a leg.
Has a nice level change to get to that ankle. Mirasola's got to come out the back.
Taylor trying to work his way around Mirasola. May have come out on the better end. Taylor still has the leg of Mirasola. Tries to wrap around. Taylor looking to finish.
Short time.
As Taylor wraps around and earns the takedown. As the second period comes to a close, Nathan Taylor ahead 3-1 on the late takedown.
That's just unreal wrestling from Nathan Taylor. Didn't matter if time was winding down, could have been 10 or 5 seconds. Didn't matter for him. He gets the takedown and he takes the lead.
The Mountain Hawk ahead as he'll have the decision and he will go bottom to look to make it a 4-1 match. Mirasola cuts him loose. He needs a takedown in this bout.
Now Mirasola, the only person to get to a leg so far in this match, but the only takedown of this match was Nathan Taylor from his scrambling. Mirasola, if he's going to want to take him down and not avoid a scramble, it's going to have to be straight feet and straight to the ground to tie this match up 4-4.
1:28 left to go in this bout. Mirasola chasing 3. Double change there from Mirasola, no success. They'll engage collar tie here, right in the center. Mirasola now in on a leg. Switch to a double. Mirasola trying to get his. Taylor might come out the beneficiary, and he does. Taylor using his size, earning 3 more. 7-1 now in favor of the Mountain Hawk.
And that's the disadvantage that Mirasola has, is Taylor's hips are just so heavy for Mirasola to be able to lift it up, and exactly what Taylor was told to do, just heavy hips and then go around the back, and that's a takedown for Nathan.
Lehigh coaching staff might want bonus points here.
Yes!
As Taylor cuts Mirasola, and immediately another shot. Took Mirasola out of bounds, but it appeared as if Cole circled back in. 7-2 now the score after the escape from Mirasola.
Double! Yes! Again!
Taylor wanted a double leg there to connect. Tie here in the center. 7-2 the score. And it appears as if that score will hold Mirasola a late double, but it won't be enough. Nathan Taylor, a 7-2 decision win at 285 for the Mountain Hawks. Makes it a 36-3 score that will still fall in favor of the Nittany Lions as they'll move to 3-0 in dual meets this season.